Satisfaction lies in the effort, not in the attainment. Full effort is full victory. Jai Hind and a very good morning to our guest, Lt Gen Noble Thamburaj, our MD, Dr. Jai Singh, our Dean, Dr. Poonam Nikam, and all the faculty members and my dear friends. I, Ayushi Dwivedi, MC for today's session, welcome you all to this pre-induction program of batch 2023-25. The theme for the pre-induction program for the batch 23-25 is Preparing Minds and Shaping Futures. Now, I take this opportunity to welcome our guest, Lt Gen Noble Thamburaj, PVSM, SM, former Vice Chief of Army Staff, Colonel Commandant, the Bombay SAPPERS, Patron of IIEBM. Sir, may I have your permission to proceed? Thank you, sir. Sir was commissioned into the Bombay SAPPERS on 15 June 1969. He is a graduate from the NDA Khadakwasla and IMA Dehradun. An alumnus of Defence Services Staff College, the General has done Senior Command, Higher Command and NDC courses. He is also accredited with higher technical qualifications like MTech in Building Science from IIT Delhi and MPhil in Defence Studies from Indus University. During his illustrious career, the General has held many important assignments, to include Brigade Major of a Mountain Brigade, Command of 411 Independent Parade Field Company, Rapid Engineer Regiment, a Rashtriya Rifle Sector during Operation Vijay, and an Infantry Division during Operation Parakram. The General has seen action during Indo-Pak War of 1971 and counter-insurgency operations in Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir. He also holds a unique distinction of being the only sapper officer to have commanded RR sector. He has been an instructor in OTA Chennai and Defence Services Staff College, Wellington. On promotion to the rank of Major General, he assumed the coveted appointment of GOC 11 Infantry Division on 16 December 2002, and in May 2006, he took over as GOC 11 Corps on promotion to the rank of Lieutenant General. The General Officer was decorated with Sena Medal during his command of 8th Sector RR in recognition of his exemplary devotion to duty and for displaying exceptional wisdom while planning, organizing and executing operations. Now I request Sir to please guide the batch with his words of wisdom.
I hope I'm visible. Yes, sir. Normally when it is dark, I'm not visible. So there was a Hindi movie called Mr. India. Have you ever seen it?
Yes, sir.
So there was a guy called Mr. India who would become invisible and visible. So maybe I'm also Mr. India, but I become invisible at night. Professor Jai Singh, the Managing Director of the college, Dr. Poonam Nikam, and members of the faculty, and of course, dear students of the 2023 batch. Jai Hind and good morning to all of you, and a hearty welcome to the new batch. This day, today, the fourth day of the pre-induction training is all about you. You who have come to this college, leaving the comforts of your homes, leaving your families behind to become something in life. There are some days in our lives which are very special. And I have no doubt that the first day in our college is a very, very important and special day for you. I have no doubt that this morning, as you got up and you're getting ready to come to the college, there must have been a tingling in your abdomen, tingling in your stomachs. there must have been questions in your mind like, what are my professors going to be like? What are my colleagues going to be like? What is in store for me? There would have been excitement in your mind. You would have been very excited. You would have been nervous. And that which makes you excited, looking forward to something which is happening, that is a spark in your belly. All of us are born with a spark in our belly. Some people compare it to the flame of a candle. Some people compare it to the spark of a spark plug. It is this spark which makes us enthusiastic, which makes us alive, and it makes us happy. Like I said earlier, we are all born with this spark. And I can see the sparks burning in your body. Especially those who are wearing the green blazer. There is the way they walk. They spring in their steps. Oh, thank you. Yes, fine. Now, you have to keep this spark burning. If this spark or the flame, you have to nurture it. Because if this spark or flame dies down, then you'll become frustrated. You'll become angry all the time. It will show on your face. I'm sure you would have seen people who are grumpy all the time, finding faults with everybody else, not doing anything. Those are those guys in whom the spark has died down. I'm very fond of Hindi movies, so I'll give you another example. There was a movie called Jab We Met. Have you seen this? And there was a heroine called Kareena Kapoor. First half of the film, would you remember? The spark was burning in her belly. She was chirpy. She was so enthusiastic. She was talking all the time. She was smiling. She was laughing. Second half of the film, the spark had died. She was morose. She was working in a convent. She didn't want anything. She had no expectations. She was crying all the time because the spark or the flame had gone off. So the first advice that I have for each one of you is, please keep this flame or this spark alive in your belly. That is what will drive you to greatness. More about the spark a little later. Now I see that there are some of you are very sad and morose, especially in the last few rows. So I'm going to request all of you to smile, or better still, if you can laugh. Ha ha ha. Show your teeth. Ha ha ha. Yeah. It's very important in life to smile. For some reason, smiling comes naturally to girls and women. Men smile much less. But believe me, I have been, in the role of a boss for many years. And all bosses, all leaders prefer the people who work under them to be smiling and cheerful. I'm not saying laughing, but I'm saying cheerful and smiling. Because your bosses are going to be old guys or old ladies. They have their own problem. They have their own challenges. Maybe their spark is not as bright as your spark. So your smile, your cheerfulness would help your boss also to perform better. So I would like you to be the sunshine people. Wherever you go, bring sunshine with you. Remember Kareena Kapoor, first half of the movie. Be like that. And don't be serious. Be sincere. We mistake between seriousness and sincerity. Be sincere. You don't have to be serious all the time. So this is my advice number 2. Be cheerful. Be smiling. Sometimes, I think there was another Hindi movie called 3 Idiots, in which the professor asks Amir Khan, why are you smiling? Remember? Get out of the class because you're smiling. Now, when you smile, you put the other guy on the defensive. He is wondering as to, yaar, mera collar to tie to theek hai, I hope there's nothing wrong with me. So smiling, actually, you can try this. Next time your dad is angry or your mother is angry, just smile. You'll see that they are straight away disarmed. Right? So my first advice to you, keep the spark burning. Number 2, keep smiling and be cheerful. Not very difficult to do? Okay. Now, as I was coming here, so the student, I think, Reddy, isn't it, who was with me? Pavan Reddy. Yeah. So we were discussing about a word called talent. So he suggested, why don't you add it in your script? Now I hope you know what is the meaning of talent. Yeah, this gentleman who's looking like Ranveer Singh. Huh? What? Intelligence. Anyone else? Please sit down. Anyone? Any lady? Yeah, front row. Okay. Admire in yourself. Anybody else? Somebody put up a hand here. Some youngster. Anyone? Yeah. What? Versatile. No. Okay. Yeah, that lady there.
I think talent is something which is different from others in you.
Different. Yeah.
My name is I'm from Sydney, Madhya Pradesh. Sir, talent is something, your inner quality which you have to spark in your belly and always try to find yourself.
Okay. Sit down. Pavan Reddy, what is talent? God's gift to you. Talent is a gift from God to you. Right? Now, we were discussing, so it's something, a talent is a gift from God to you. I'll give you an example. Lata Mangeshkar, gifted. She didn't become a singer because of, maybe her name was Lata Mangeshkar. No, it was a gift from God to her. Yes, she identified the talent and worked hard towards it. Now I'm going to give you another 2 names which we discussed. since Reddy was very fond of cricket, the two friends, classmates, one called Sachin Tendulkar, other called Vinod Kambli. Heard of them? People said that Vinod Kambli was more talented as a batsman. God had given him a bigger gift of being a batsman than Sachin Tendulkar. It is what we do with the talent. Sachin Tendulkar was less talented than Vinod Kambli. But he, like, what was that name? Lata Mangeshkar, worked hard on the talent. He exploited his talent to the optimal capability and became the best batsman. Vinod Kambli could not identify his talent. Vinod Kambli thought that playing the guitar was his talent. And he worked more playing the guitar than on cricket field. And we all know that though he scored 250 or some odd runs a couple of times, he did not become great. Right? Now the first place where you hear the word talent is in the Bible. And the Bible says that God has given a talent to each and every human being. So there's nobody born on earth who does not have a talent. I asked Pavan Reddy, what is your talent? Pavan Reddy, what is your talent? He's run away. He said his talent was patience. Right? So the Bible says that every human being, now, of course, at that time, the money, like today, the money in India is called rupees. At that point in time, the money was called talent. It was a gold coin, it was known as talent also. So some people think of that, but I interpret it as talent is a gift from God given to us. Now what is important is each one of us must look inwards and identify what is my talent. It is very easy to say, I don't have any talent. Now at this point of time, I want to give you my personal example. When I was in school, my brothers, I had two more brothers. One was exceptionally good in maths. He could solve any question, any kind of thing in maths. There was my other brother who seemed to be good in everything. Everybody would like him. All the girls, my parents, everybody would like him. And here I was, nobody would like me. So I used to keep lying in bed, putting the razai over me and thinking, why had God not given me any talent? I would keep thinking, where is what talent? So I would see some of the boys, they would run very fast. So I started running. Every day when others were resting, I would run. And by the time I left the school, I got, in the cross country and in the 1500 meters, I got the first prize in the long distance running. I was telling Reddy that he asked me, what games do you play? He meant, what games do you watch on TV? I told them I used to be a long distance runner. I also surprised him by saying I was also very fond of boxing. Not watching, but real boxing. So he was quite shaken up, what is wrong with this character? Right. Now, then you take football. In our school used to be a football team. There were guys, they could do whatever with the football. But I said, no, I used to keep running up and down. Full 90 minutes I used to run on the field. And for that running and being at the right place, they took me in the team. maybe my IQ was very low, but I used to work so hard. My mother most of the mothers say, come on, get up and study. But my mother would say, enough, bloody go and sleep. Right? I joined the army. When I went to my NDA, people had come from, Bishop School and such high sounding, they were tall, handsome, they could speak brilliant English. But I said, I kept doing everything. But when the 3 years finished, they said that you're the best, you're number one. So I kept wondering, I am without any talent, how is it that I'm doing well? And it is only when I became a general, say 54 years old, I realized that my talent was hard work. People, maybe even brigadiers, other generals, you work for a few hours, they were very smart, they could finish their work quickly. But the same work I used to take double the time. But I would work hard, I would, whatever. So, what I'm trying to say is, hard work is also a talent. Maybe I wish I had realized that much earlier. So, Pavan Reddy kept saying, you don't seem to have any talent. But I didn't tell him there, but now I'm sharing this thing with you, that my talent was hard work. So, each one of us has a talent. The important thing is to identify it and exploit that talent, like Sachin Tendulkar, like Lata Mangeshkar. It can be anything. And you need to exploit that. Please remember. So the third advice I'm giving you is identify your talent and exploit it. Okay. Now we come to some serious business. Our country is on the threshold of greatness. I said this a few years back. I'm still saying that we are still at the threshold. Like there was a stand-up comedian from Haryana, he says we are still standing at the outer. We are still not reached greatness, but we are still at the outer of the railway station. Why? Our country is prospering in the economic field. Industry is really vibrant. Agriculture. Just the other day I was driving, right through Maharashtra from Goa to Pune. And in spite of the rains not being there, the fields were all green. I think absolute sugar cane or whatever this thing was there. And I think on the roadside, the best Devgad mangoes were being sold. So, let nobody fool us. The agriculture is also prospering. The Indian diaspora, the Indians living abroad are prospering. Somebody mentioned that there are 5 or 6 countries in the world which have got Indian prime ministers or presidents. UK, Ireland, I don't know, Fiji, Patani, Guyana, lots of other countries. So, the scientific community is doing very well. The service sector is prospering. The IT is prospering. Our military is becoming stronger. Our education is, the education, the quality of education you guys are getting is 100 times better than what we got. Business is thriving. Right? So therefore, expectations and aspirations are also increasing. When I was of your age, my expectations were very small. If I get one, or if I'm lucky, if I get 2 drinks of whiskey in the night, that's all was the aspirations. But today, you will think of single malt whiskey or scotch or whatever it is. The aspirations have gone up. The expectations are much more. If your expectations have gone up, your parents' expectations have also gone up from you. Please remember that. So people are getting impatient. This chap Reddy was telling me that he's very patient. He says his talent is you said that? Patient, huh? But people today are very impatient. So, therefore, as they say, that our future is very bright. There are plenty of opportunities. And side by side, the other day, the Prime Minister said that 21st century belongs to India. I'm sure you know that 19th century belonged to Europe. 20th century belonged to America. And 21st century to Asia. Right? And for a long time, everybody thought that it belonged to China and Japan. But now we know that they are on the downs, they are spiraling downwards, and we are the ones who are going upwards. Right? So the center of gravity of this prosperity is coming. Now I'm going to connect this to my experience. I had gone to, Professor Jai Singh was asking that you're traveling abroad all the time. So I mentioned to him that, yes, but wherever I travel, I keep observing. And whether it's Switzerland, France, America to a lesser extent, you'll find almost all the women working. In Switzerland, the tram, the buses, they are run by women. So there is, I went to Israel. Israel, the army, out of 10 people in a section, 3 were women. So you see, women in all these countries are working. With the result, lots of women in these prosperous countries, because of their career, they're not having children. When you travel to these countries, you don't find any kids at all. Those of you who've been abroad, you see, in India, wherever you go, there's some little idiot running with his nose running or some, up and down. But you don't see anybody, in these countries. So, they need young people to work. And where are those young people going to come from? From India. Now today, when I got my first this thing as in a unit, it was in Nifa, today called Arunachal Pradesh. It used to take me 36 hours from there to come to my parents' house in Tamil Nadu. But today, wherever you may work in the world, 8 hours you can be back home. So you're never too far from home today. Right? And I've met girls, for some reason, a lot of girls from Andhra Pradesh in America. They are alone working in America. They're absolutely fine. Right? In our days, our parents never used to let my sister go out from the house without she was escorted. But today, the opportunity is not just for the boys, for girls as well. You could go to any country in the West. You're safe. You have the opportunities. And for the same work, you'll get 10 times more pay. And in 8 hours, you're back home. So the opportunities are abroad. And we have to grab it. And this college is preparing you for that. Please remember that. You've got to prepare for that. Why do I say it? Because the Indians who are going or studying speak English. I don't mean speak as good English as Mr. Shashi Tharoor, but at least speak English. Good in computers. People abroad, moment there's an Indian, there was a joke, one Indian went to rob a bank in America. They thought that and they gave him all the laptop. They thought he's come to repair the computers. Right? So people associate Indians with computers and IT. So if you go and say in America that I don't know IT, they will not believe you. So therefore, whatever you do, you may be in HR or you may be in marketing, you may be in whatever, but computer is your this thing. And I think in olden days, there used to be some institution called NIIT where you went for 4 weeks and they taught you MS Word and all. I don't know what you do, but please become expert in computers. You know, all the softwares, whatever, I don't know, website making, whatever it is, people expect you to be good in computers. Indians, when they go abroad, don't create any trouble. Indians follow all the rules and regulations. In America, people say that the ethnic community which follows all the rules and regulations are either the white or the Indians. All the other people break rules. And last, they say that Indians work for less pay also, right, comparatively. But maybe that's the starting point. So therefore, the opportunities for you and your generations are immense. You know, unless you have any compulsions, please keep this as an option, going abroad. Now, what is my prognosis for the next 15 years or so? Some of you may not believe me, but my thinking is that in 15 years, the borders will have no meaning. I was this morning discussing again while traveling, and I said, Mr. Modi is in the United States. Who is the first person he went and met in America? Ready? Tell everybody. Musk. First, he didn't go to the president, he didn't go to vice president, he didn't go to the chief of army staff. No. He goes to Elon Musk and meets him. So this is telling us that it is these, whether it is Apna Ambani, Adani or Tatas, they are the future of the world. Countries will be replaced by multinationals. It's not the presidents and prime ministers. It is the CEOs and MDs and all of these. Multinationals will run the world in about 15 years. Right? So instead of joining politics, join them. Maybe 10 years back, it would have made more sense to join politics. But today, the way I see the world spanning out in the next 15 years, it is these multinational. Our ISRO has not been able to send a man to space, but Elon Musk has made his own rocket and gone to space and come back. So, I hope know that about 35 large multinationals are headed by Indians. I'm not saying that you all have to be head these multinationals, no. But there is an opportunity there. So please look at these. And communications are getting important. The other thing is, when I speak to people abroad, most of them haven't heard of IIT. I was very happy when somebody said, I have studied in IIT Delhi, but they're not bothered. They haven't heard of IIM. Right? So please do not think that you're at a disadvantage. No. I keep asking, this bloody Pavan Reddy, I keep quoting his name. So I asked him, what is the best thing? He says, discipline. Most of the college students, if you ask in India, what you don't like, they'll say discipline. But your institution, people are loving the discipline. And if everybody is disciplined, collectively we'll prosper. Right? So people haven't heard, so you are at no disadvantage if you go abroad. You need to get that one break. And once you get that, by your hard work, by your, hard work was my talent, but I'm sure you got better talents. You excel yourself and you'll do well. So my advice number 3 is prepare yourselves to work overseas. I'm not saying you must go, but in these 2 years here, the college is preparing you. But maybe you can also start looking at multinational companies, okay. Then the next thing I want to tell you is about turning point. There used to be in this IPL matches a couple of years back, I forget who's one of the commentators would ask a question. What was the turning point in the match? I wonder if any of you remember this. The question was, soda? Oh, sorry. So that commentator at the end of the match would ask the team captain, what do you think was the turning point in the match? Turning point is when your fortunes change, hopefully for the better. Mahatma Gandhi, when he was thrown out of the railway, whatever carriage in South Africa, that was his turning point in his life. So all of us have a turning point in our lives. In India we call it rebirth. Maybe, unless you have something else, maybe joining this college is the turning point in your life. Right? Especially those of us who have come from small towns. This would be a turning point. Staying in a big city, meeting people from different states, getting exposed to a lot of things. And one of the exposures you guys are getting, I don't know, I hope you share with them also. Every morning I get a quotation from Professor Jai Singh, and today I would like to read. He says, maturity is when you stop complaining. All of us, or most of us, keep complaining. We want to be in the victims. We try to be victim. Though we may be the other guy, but we will blame. If I have done something wrong, we still blame somebody else. So maturity is when you stop complaining. Second, maturity is when we stop making excuses. Management tells us that we need to take ownership. If you've done something wrong, we've got to face the consequences. The third sentence is maturity is when you start making changes. Right? So turning point, changes, all these things go hand in hand. So how do you prepare? Now sometimes we end up, I was discussing with your dean that some people are living in the past. They are preparing for the past. But I want you to prepare for the future. For the next 15 years, I made a prognosis, that there will be no borders. Borders will be there, but they'll be meaningless. Mr. Modi is going to meet Elon Musk. The Google guy, that guy is coming here, Microsoft guy, and coming here. Right? Why is he meeting these chaps? Because 15 years from now, they are the guys who are going to run the world. We already know in India, we got Adani and all these people are running the airports, they're running the ports. So it will happen, whether you like it or not. You know, these outstanding highways which are there from here to Belgavi. Who's made it? I mean, you can say Mr. Gadkari, but the guy who's made it is a multinational company, the guy who's collecting the toll from us. Right? So slowly you will find that reward would be given to these guys who make a difference. So we've got to look at the future and prepare for the future. Please don't prepare for the past. So you've got to be qualified. Now these are basic building blocks. Doing an MBA, doing your commerce, doing your whatever. But life doesn't end here. I said this is a turning point. Now you got to start saying that, okay, I am going to be an expert in finances. Right? So apart from this, there may be a 6 months, there are lots of experts who run these 6 months courses, maybe online, maybe whatever it is, whatever, to start getting super qualified. Now in olden days, everybody looked for all-rounders in cricket, correct? ये भी all-rounder है, Eknath Solkar. Today if Solkar comes from his grave, nobody will take him in the team. Because today you want experts. You want the best bowler, you want the best batsman, you want the best fielder. You're not wanting bloody थोड़ा बैटिंग भी करता हूँ, थोड़ा bowling भी करता हूँ, थोड़ा wicket keeper भी करता हूँ, थोड़ा सा ये भी करता हूँ. No. Today you're looking at specialists. So what all have I said? You've got to have the spark in your belly. You've got to be cheerful, smiling. Right? You've got to identify your talent. You've got to look at the future and qualify yourself for the future. And especially, there'll be more opportunities coming for your generation outside the country than inside. Now, everybody is shouting Modi is not making jobs available. No. Jobs are being created rest of the world. Go there. Why are you saying that, in people of my generation, mere ghar ke paas naukri chahiye? That will not happen. And especially to the young ladies, I would say, you have shown guts by coming here. Now you have to show more guts by being free. And one of the person whom I admire most is Priyanka Chopra. Heard of her? Yes, sir. You read her, whatever small speeches she makes. And that is how you've got to make yourself more free, more independent, rubbing shoulders with everybody else. So, qualify yourself for tomorrow, get all the relevant skills. Because any job interview that they have, it will be for a particular skill. You can't say, I'm an all-rounder. मैं ये भी जानता हूँ, मैं cricket भी खेलता हूँ, मैं ये भी करता हूँ, No. They'll say, I want the best boxer. I don't want a bloody boxer who can run. No. Third is, get experienced. What is experience? Just because I am 75 years old, I am not experienced. In Greece, 450 BC. You heard of Greece? 450 BC, when Greece was at its peak, there was city-states. In Athens, there was a philosopher called Socrates. Heard of him? Socrates said, mistakes are experience. If you make mistakes and learn from mistakes, you get experience. Just because you're not doing anything, you're not making mistakes, and you're 75 years old, you can't say, I'm experienced. No. You make mistake, you learn from that mistake, that is an experience. Don't make that same mistake a second time. But then he also goes and says that brilliant people will learn from the mistakes of others. If somebody else has made a mistake, you learn from his mistakes. Maybe that guy was not wearing what is it called? Seat belt. So you learn from his mistake. So you wear the seat belt. You wear the helmet. You don't have to break your head and then learn to wear a helmet. So please remember Socrates. Experience is making mistakes. Make mistakes in life. Learn from it. Don't repeat it. Look for opportunities. Very few of us are lucky where opportunities will come our way. We have to go to opportunities. And if the opportunity comes, we have to grab it. Then the spark which we have created, we got to nurture it. I said we'll come back to the spark or the flame which is there in our belly. We need to nurture it. How do we nurture it? By setting goals. You got to set targets for yourself. If somebody asks Virat Kohli, what is your motivation? He says, first, I set a target. I have to score 30 runs. My target is to score 30. When I've reached target 30, then I'll say I'll now speed up and I'll score 50. Then he says 80 is my next target. So you got to set small, achievable targets, right? Setting goals and achieving them. Go from one level to the next. In life, you can't say, I also want to become, who's the famous chap these days? I don't know. Elon Musk. I'll go one level at a time. Set goals to give you a balanced and successful life. So it is not only in your career, but in your life also. Set goals. Right? In the army, we are not allowed to get married till the age of 25. Even if you get married, they'll say, we don't treat you as a married guy, you're a bachelor. Your wife can't come. Right? So you have to set goals that, okay, maybe I set a goal that I'm not going to get married till the age of 30. Why? Because I'm going to work hard, I'm going to learn more about the army, before that I will do this course, I will qualify myself, and only when I have done this, all this I have finished, then I will get married, right? So you not got to get these goals in your life as well. Now there will be storms in our life. That flame, how can the flame go away? When there is a storm. Sometimes, I lose my way and enter the kitchen in the house. Then I leave the door open. Then I get a scolding from my wife, shut the door, otherwise the flame will go away. So the flame goes away because of storms. And what are these storms in our lives? Number one is disappointment. In all our lives, you can ask your dean, you can ask Professor Jai Singh, there have been disappointments. I'm sure in the life of Gandhiji or Pandit Nehru, there were disappointments. Right? They were put in jail, whatever happened. But you got to get, कुछ disappointment हो गया तो ये नहीं कि, हिंदी में जैसे पैर के ऊपर पैर डाल के बैठ गया. No. You got to weather these. Then there'll be frustrations. When success doesn't come, you've been trying hard, working hard. You can't give up. There was a guy called Bruce. Have you heard of a chap called Bruce? Who? Not Bruce Lee. There was King Bruce of Scotland, who attacked 17 times. And only on the 17th time he was successful. Where did he get the inspiration? He saw a cobweb and a spider. From that he got the inspiration and he kept attacking, and 17th time he was successful. So there is more than one Bruce in life. Okay. The third is unfairness. Just as we were walking this morning, I was mentioning that life is not fair. Please do not think that life is fair to everyone. We are all dealt with different cards. And whatever card is dealt to us, you've got to play with that. You can't say, why has she got a better set of cards and not me? Right? So life will be unfair. For the same mistake, I may be punished more than somebody else. You know, I always grew up thinking that my parents loved my brother more than me. You know, you can have any kind of this thing, but you can't keep sitting and crying, yeah, my mother doesn't love me. No. So life is unfair, but we got to keep going. And the last is loneliness. I would say loneliness of purpose. Not physical loneliness, but loneliness of purpose. Sometimes, you know, in Spain, there was a guy called Don Quixote, who used to attack windmills, you know. So, you've got to have a purpose in life. You can't be lonely without any purpose. And since I've quoted somebody from Greece, I would also like to quote a Chinese philosopher who said that, he says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one small step. Right? To reach our goal, you know, if somebody says, yeah, 42 mein, why haven't you become? No. To reach your goal, you have to start one step at a time. You can't do long jump or something, one small step at a time. I would have given you an example from my life, but I will skip it. Then the next thing I have is, if you look at the 10 or 15 richest countries in the world, what is common in that? And similarly, look at the 5 poorest countries and what is common. Yeah, anyone? Yeah. But your hands are always up. Forgot, please sit down. I also forget after 75. I also forget. Yeah.
For example, I am from Amravati, Maharashtra. I think so power.
I have forgotten what my question was. What was the question? What? Richest country. Yeah. What is my observation is that in all the rich countries, women are working. Those countries where women are working full time, those countries are rich. And those countries where the women have been put in burqa or made to sit at home and say, ki nahi, you can't come out of the chaukat or kya bolte, you can't come, you have to stay at home, you have to stay in joint family, those are poor countries. Keep that in mind. Yeah, please sit down. So I was also had some points about leadership and all. I will just conclude by saying that please, each one of you, look at yourself as a leader of tomorrow. Whatever field you may be, what our country needs is leadership. You saw that train accident and you saw that railway minister. That is what the country needs. Right? Everybody can't be railway minister. But within that, if you see something, the traffic jam. Why is the traffic jam taking? Because there is no leader to get the traffic moving. At times I have got down in my car and just gone and stood there and moved the traffic. Right? So leadership is a separate subject altogether, but where we are lacking in a country is we lack leadership at all levels. Right? So wherever you are there, you are being prepared for leadership at this college. Please remember that. And wherever you are going, even when you go home, practice it on your mother and father. You become leader and tell your mothers and fathers what to do, what not. You start practicing leadership. So in conclusion, I would like to summarize by saying that the future belongs to India. And we need to be more qualified. We need to keep the spark going. Why did I say spark plug? Whenever a challenge comes, the spark should become brighter. Right? So just to check the spark, how is the Josh? High, sir. How is the Josh? High, sir. Very good. Right? You have to do things to get the spark going. Be cheerful. Some of us are cheerful. Guy like me is very cheerful. You take me to a bar, I'll be very cheerful. But you should be cheerful at the workplace also. Right? You may not like the boss, you may not get along with him. But still, you owe it to yourself. One man should not dictate your spark. Then, right attitude. I skipped those paragraphs, what was the attitude. But some countries are poor because the attitude of the people is not okay. But we've got to have right attitude, one step at a time. And be prepared to work overseas. So I have given, and of course, based on Pawan Reddy's recommendation, I also added something about the talent, right? So maybe my talk was disjointed. Whatever came to mind, I have just put them. And aim is that this is the time to learn. And people like me who are, I can only, pray for good things. My prayers are with you, with each one of you. My blessings are with you. And I hope each one of us, each one of you who enter the portals or the gates of IIEM or the Indus Business School, you prosper and you achieve greatness, right? And we were discussing early this morning that people who do well in life, in the next 15 years or so, your photographs will be displayed in the college so that you become inspiration for the future batches. With that, I would conclude, and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. We extend our sincerest gratitude to you, sir, for conducting this remarkable and enlightening session. We will ensure that we keep the sparks in our bellies alive for the rest of our lives and will try to uncover our natural talents and will exploit it and will definitely inculcate the leadership qualities. So, thank you once again for your invaluable insights and we'll look forward to your next visit to our campus.